But then this week, that was only half the equation. I'm going to give you something you didn't even know, in the beauty of where you began this show, asking me about where I live and what was going on here. Not only did our second gentleman, who had a plan, how far along, I don't know yet. Well, how much of it I trust, I'm not sure. I mean, I trust that he was planning on it. Whether he was actually a threat is the question.
Right.
But a young guy who had converted to Islam, but far obviously that's not the issue. The issue is he started identifying himself with ISIS. Interesting when you're from the west side of Cincinnati, which is Catholic. The west side of Cincinnati, I bring that up because my wife grew up there, and he went to her high school, this guy.
Does your wife also have an interest in ISIS, Cliff? Or
more purely on a sort of, I think, let's see what ISIS is up to kind of level, not on hey, I want to try that whole handlebar training routine kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't think she's really gotten to that point yet. So I
get you pretty ripped. But anyways,
it probably would.
Yeah.
But then you'd be ripped apart by a drone, and would kind of defeat the purpose, I think.
True story.
So that's I mean, that's amazing. I mean, this guy graduated a couple, whatever it was, probably about a few years ago from her high school. So obviously it's not like he was there when she was there and they don't know each other. Because again, I'm not Mike Huckabee and don't like underage girls. My wife's a little older than that. Oh wait, did I repeat that?
We just decided. I like that. That's
no, but
the
it may not be
political
true.
pro at work, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
Just to say, as John Kyle once said, that was not meant to be a factual statement. Like when he said that Planned Parenthood was like 97% abortion, and it turned out it was like 3% of what they do.
Right.
So not a factual statement, people, but if you want to just mention Huckabee and young girls in the same sentence, you could do that. You just can't, So in any case,
I mean, you literally can. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I digress. I mean, the point being that we had two two threats of violence. And so the guy here who went to my wife's high school, we should know him that way from now on, he was planning on potentially, and again, I don't know how realistic this plan was, but what I do know is he's of age, he's over 18, he could have gotten weaponry at any gun show on any weekend here from a private seller or any flea market or online, because we do that in this wonderful state, and in 32 states or so still in this country, where you can get away with that without a background check. And so, at the very least, if he had a car and went to and he hadn't been sort of, and he hadn't done things to sort of get the FBI interested in him, just to decide one day, I'm going to do this, went and bought these weapons, put them in the back of his car, drove the 6 hours, 7 hours it takes to get to D.C., he could have driven up to at least where the guards were, and he could have caused some mayhem.
Cliff, it's so amazing because there are three kind of really big things that leap out for me from this. And number one, taking aside, there are some legitimate questions about the FBI and kind of low-hanging fruit in these sorts of cases, and how much of a threat does somebody actually pose, and whether or not are they actually a hardcore prospective terrorist, or are they like a troubled young man that needs maybe some punishment but counseling, whatever. That's one question. But the other thing is that all of these issues, from mental health to an identity crisis to also in a third category, which is an emerging impulse towards these kind of smaller scale terrorist attacks like we saw in Paris. This is definitely a new kind of operational goal and focus of groups like Al-Qaeda, which is, instead of going for some large mass scale event, they're basically just picking soft targets that you can mow people down in. And so in all three of these issues, from an actual, prospect of terrorist attacks to collapse of mental health and, the modern identity crisis of, young men or whatever, through all of these, everything is enabled by the fact that we refuse to put the same regulations on guns that we do on tires, frankly.